Hey guys, Jason Timothy here, musicsoftwaretraining.com, back with another music production video. And today, the subject is going to be music is possible for everyone. And I really wanted to share this with you guys because a lot of you think that because you struggle in the beginning or you struggle for a good amount of time, that it just means that you're not cut out for making music. And I don't really think that anyone's disqualified from making music. From personal experience, I definitely was not a natural in music making. In fact, it took me years and years to get anywhere. It took me a lot longer to learn music stuff than most of my peers. But because I chose this as my passion, it didn't matter to me how talented I was because it was the one thing that I really enjoyed doing. So that gave me the ability to put the time in to get better at this art. But once again, it did not start off this way at all. And that's really the point here. Nobody starts off very good when they get started in making music. I mean, your first efforts are just not going to be all that great. And that's totally okay. And if you understand that everyone goes through that period, then you're not going to get so hung up about it. Also, music doesn't have to be as technical as you might be making it. I mean, at the end of the day, most music, especially electronic music, is cut, copy, paste, duplicate, and delete, using samples, recording, editing, and understanding some basic processes. The bottom line is that you're taking ideas out of your head and you're getting them down into the computer. So you don't have to get overly technical with all the details of what everything does. You know, get an idea in your head and approximate it and get as good as you can. And don't think you need to know everything else. Just go one step at a time and you will start building your process. Obviously, there's ways that you can speed up this process. But the bottom line is don't put so much pressure on yourself to know everything all at once. That's like sitting down at a piano and expecting to be able to play like Mozart or Beethoven right when you sit down. It's just not going to happen. So you shouldn't have such high expectations of yourself in the very beginning, okay? You can have high aspirations, but the expectations should be, you know, in the range of what's doable for you right now. A lot of you guys struggle with music theory and understanding chords and keys and all that stuff. And to be perfectly honest, I've been in this game for 30 years and I still struggle with music theory. I don't know it very well at all, okay? But I've been able to still continue to work around that and play by ear and build my knowledge as I go. So I've never really had any proper training. Maybe in the last couple of years, I've watched a few videos on music theory and gotten a hang of a few things. But to be perfectly honest, most of what I do is still playing by ear and going from there. And anything that I understand music theory-wise is like a little spice on top. And it doesn't always really work for me. You know, what technically should be correct doesn't sound correct when I put it down. So you just need to trust your own ears. That's the bottom line. And, you know, as far as music theory, there's a lot of tools inside your DAWs that are going to allow you to have workarounds. They will automatically put what you're playing into proper key so you never hit a wrong note if you don't want to. So there's a lot of tools that can help you if you're not a natural at, you know, playing piano, for example. The same goes for sound design. Sound design takes a long time and it's a lifelong journey, just like music theory can be. And if you have the pressure of being able to just consistently create the sounds in your head, you're going to run into a lot of problems. My recommendation is to just have experiment jams where you just play with synths, move the knobs and record everything you do and cut out the best bits. That way you're going to get surprised by the sounds that you create. That doesn't mean that you shouldn't have an idea in mind when you start, but sometimes it makes a lot of sense to just record everything you do because oftentimes you don't get the result you were looking for, but you may find when you listen back that you made a lot of other amazing sounds that you would have never thought of. So misusing tools and recording everything you do is a great workaround if you don't know sound design very well. Not that you shouldn't learn some of the basic waveforms and the sounds and that sort of thing, and your attack, decay, sustain, and release. All those things should be something that at some point you get a handle on, because that's going to really help you create sounds and tones and textures and all that sort of stuff. All right. The next thing, and I'm kind of reiterating this, but most of what you think you need to know in music making, you really don't need to know it. You only need to know about 10% of what there is to know to get yourself started, and actually to get yourself moving in the direction of making better music. It doesn't take you knowing everything about everything to make great music. In fact, a lot of the great producers out there, or the more popular producers, don't know everything about everything. They just know their thing really, really well. And that's kind of that's the arena that they're playing in, and if they need help outside, they might bring someone in that knows something that they don't. It's kind of like bringing in a session musician to play something on your song because you can't play it yourself. So don't think that you need to know everything. Just what you want to do is find out what you're good at and get better and better at that and kind of play in that playground. And then you'll naturally start to expand as ideas come that you're reaching for. But allow it to be a slow process. And once again, you really only need to know about 10% of what there is to know to start making great music. The next thing from my personal experience is that process is really the key. You've got the mental side of things, and understanding the mental side of things will help you understand why you get stuck. And process is a way to get unstuck because you know what step to take first, second, third, fourth. So you don't need to think so far ahead. You just work on what you're doing right in the moment. And it takes a lot of stress away from things. So understanding a process or steps to take that work across the board is going to be incredibly helpful. Once again, if I can do this, you could totally do this. I struggled with everything that I now teach. And I think that's what makes me a good teacher, is I still understand what it's like to not understand. And I speak to people in human terms. I don't speak in technical terms. It's never made sense to me to try to talk above my own head or anyone else's head. Obviously, there's a little bit of lingo that you'll figure out as you go, but you don't need to understand all the technical stuff. I've never enjoyed reading user manuals because they don't speak to me in a human way, and I don't think you need to know all that stuff anyway. So just keep it simple, keep it human, keep everything on layman's terms, and whatever vocabulary works best for you to describe what's going on is totally fine. Now, my story, I started playing guitar many years ago, and mainly just because I had a few friends and we wanted to start a band, and none of us played any instruments. So slowly, we all kind of picked up instruments at the same time, and we started learning slowly, And when I was playing guitar, because I never had a lesson, I only knew that if I played two strings, like two notes apart from each other, I could play all the way up the guitar, and I can make something that sounded like a chord, even though I learned later that wasn't really a chord, that was more like a fifth. If you add a third string on the guitar, now you've got a chord, or three notes on a piano or something. Anyway, I played two-note chords for about a year and a half, and I played live shows, and we did pretty good. We weren't a great band, but it was good enough and enjoyable enough that I kept going. And then I'd run into people that would give me tips along the way. So I just kind of put my foot forward, one foot in front of the other. And as I went on the journey, I kind of learned on the way. So I never felt like I needed to know more than I knew right in that moment. I just started, and if I had an idea in my head, most of my ideas were really simple because my capabilities were simple. So I had to kind of break things down into their most simplistic form. So that's how I started, and it just slowly built. And I'm still not a great guitarist. I'm not a great keyboardist. I'm just not a great musician all around. I'm kind of more of a non-musician that just incidentally happens to make music. And you could be the same way and look at things the same way and really make great music and make musical things without being a musician. So that's like my story. I definitely did not start with any natural gift at all. And to be perfectly honest, I think a lot of people that start with a natural gift when they're young, they get into it, they realize that they're good at it, and because they're good at it and it's not a challenge, a lot of my friends who are still much better musicians than me got bored and got onto something else, and they never really pursued further in their music. And me, someone who did not have a natural skill, slowly ramped up, and I have, a lot to look back on, that I've accomplished. But it didn't come from any sort of natural talent. And you shouldn't expect that of yourself either. If you have natural talent, understand that that's a gift, and you should take it as that and try not to take that for granted. Otherwise, you might lose your steam early on before things really get exciting. But for the most part, having a challenge is kind of what keeps you going. So I kind of purposely stay a little bit ignorant when it comes to music making, because it just keeps the mystery in there for me. The next thing is that you get to decide the rules of your music. You get to decide how technical your music can be. You could either be a punk band playing, 2 or 3 chord songs that are 2 to 3 minutes long, or you could go toward, that would be like more like Ramones sort of stuff, or you can go towards Radiohead sort of stuff, or stuff that's more complex, or playing metal that requires big solos or whatever. The point is that your audience is only going to expect of you what you've decided your sound is. So if you've decided that you're going to be a technical band like Rush, then of course they're going to listen to everything that you do technically. If you decide that you want to be a little bit sloppier and a little bit more punk and a little more in your face and ballsy, then that's what they're going to expect from you, and they're not going to get all hung up on mistakes and things like that, because that's going to be part of your sound. So once again, you get to decide those rules. No one else decides it for you. All right. You can progress much more quickly if you allow yourself to be teachable, if you allow yourself to be coachable. That doesn't necessarily mean that you need to seek out a coach. However, understand that if you are open to learning, someone else could help you move through your process and through your challenges much more quickly than you can by yourself. So don't try to stubbornly think that you can learn everything on your own. I tried doing that for many years, and I lost a lot of time because I was stubborn about not listening to anyone else. And I kind of regret that, because I think I would have accomplished a lot more. But here I am, and I'm happy to be where I am. So I don't have full regrets, but I'm assuming that you want to get where you're going faster than I got where I'm going. So be coachable, all right? Allow yourself to pretend that you know nothing as you take in information. And then you try it on, and you see what works for you. And anything that doesn't work for you, you put it aside. And the last thing I'd like to say here is I believe that having good taste in music is going to get you much better results than being technically great at music, but not having the taste in music. I think good taste in music is what really drives creativity and moves music forward, breaks the rules, and creates new rules that people follow. So there you have it, guys. That is my video for today. And I hope that this just helps you get over some of your fears, some of your high expectations of yourself, and just allows you to just start where you're at right now and move step by step. And you're going to get there. As long as you decide that you want to make music, then you're in the game. That's all the requirement is. So enjoy, and happy music making to you. I'll speak to you guys real soon. Bye. Hey guys, thanks again for listening. And if you like this type of content, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and hit that notification bell and set it to all posts. Don't forget that you can read my best-selling book, The Mental Game of Electronic Music Production, for free by going to musicsoftwaretraining.com/the-mental-game. You'll also get my song recovery kit and my 101 Ableton tips video totally free. If you'd like to connect with me more directly to see how I might be able to help you personally, you can schedule a free 15-minute session with me by going to musicsoftwaretraining.com/application and answering a few quick questions. Happy music making, and I'll speak to you real soon.